Hey everyone, welcome to the Bruce Williams channel. Today I wanted to answer a pretty common question that I get. This is comparing the Breitling Navitimer to the Breitling Chronomat. Now I'm going to read an email here real quick, and I'm going to be dropping in pictures and clips and videos of both the Navitimer and the Chronomat. So let's jump into it. Hey Bruce, I have a Navitimer B01 43mm and I love the watch. However, I'm thinking of swapping it for the new Chronomat 42mm B01, as that watch can handle more water and take a bit more of a beating. It's a tough decision for me, as I know the Navi is an icon, but I wanted to get your opinion. Love the YouTube channel, by the way. Amazing content as always, Sid. Well, Sid, I appreciate that. Let me kind of run my experience with both watches by you real quick, and then I'll give you my pick. I'm going to tell you one watch here at the end of the video. So I will say the Navitimer, this has a higher retail price, $9,250, 30 meters of water resistance. So basically it's useless when it comes to water. Absolutely useless. On the bracelet, as you see here, this is 159 grams, so it's not too heavy. It's pretty comparable to the Rolex Submariner that I have on my wrist, so it fits very well, very comfortable. You don't really notice that you're wearing a fairly substantial chronograph. Now this is 43mm, and I would say it wears more like a 43. Definitely doesn't wear larger than its stated dimension. And the lug-to-lug length, which is important to a lot of guys, is 49.1mm. Now the Chronomat. This one is a recent release. This is more affordable at $8,100 full retail on the really cool bullet bracelet. And this carries a very respectable 200 meters of water resistance. On the bracelet, this is quite a bit heftier at 198 grams. So you might get a little bit of wrist fatigue as you're wearing that watch, because it's going to feel a lot more substantial than the Navitimer, and it's going to feel bigger than the Navitimer. I know Breitling advertises it at 42mm, but it really feels more like a 44. It fits big and it fits beefy. And, I'll drop in a few pictures of this next to some different watches, but it definitely... don't go off of the 42mm size. You're going to be misled if you're doing that. This is definitely more of a 44mm size. And then the lug-to-lug length is 50.5, so a little bit longer than the Navitimer. Now, I get that urge to want to change things up and try another watch, get another experience here with a different piece. I get that desire. I get it all the time. And I've done this a lot, where I let go of a very well-respected watch that I love, that a lot of viewers love, and many viewers would consider its replacement in my collection, stepping sideways, or maybe even taking a step down or a step back. It's not necessarily a move that they would approve of doing. So I'm not one to tell you, hey, don't buy the Navitimer, but don't buy the Chronomat. I'm not going to tell you what you shouldn't do, because I get that urge to want to change things up, try something new. Really, I mean, you're collecting for yourself. You're not collecting for anybody else. It's your wrist. It's your money. So to heck with what anybody else thinks, including me, giving this response to you, Sid, here on the channel. Now, a few things to keep in mind. You are right. The Navitimer is definitely the icon of the Breitling lineup. And so if you care about the most recognizable and arguably the most respected model from any given brand, if you move away from the Navitimer, you're moving away from this principle. The Navitimer is definitely the icon, and that is definitely something to keep in mind of. Now, the other thing to keep in mind is the Navitimer is the more expensive watch, and so you'll likely take a hit if you're reselling it on the secondary market or trading it in with an authorized dealer or a secondary market dealer. And if you should decide in the future, after having bought the Chronomat and maybe moving on from that, and you want to get the Navitimer again, you're going to be losing some more money. That is something to keep in mind. I know a lot of us try to say, hey, keep value retention or keep money out of this emotional hobby. Don't try to be so logical. But at the end of the day, I mean, you got to be fiscally responsible as well. So just keep that in mind. Now, the other thing, if you're craving a watch that you can take in water, the Chronomat has very respectable water resistance for a chronograph, but it isn't necessarily my first choice for a water watch. Another option you could consider is to buy a dedicated dive watch at a lower price, and that will allow you to keep the Navitimer in the collection. You don't have to worry about its measly 3-bar water resistance. You could be looking at Seiko, Manta, Zen, Oris, Rado, Longines. There are a lot of solid options under $2,000, anywhere from between $400 to $2,000. You can get a pretty great dive watch that you could use in water, and it would be a dedicated diver. So really what I'm trying to say, Sid, is look at the root of why you want to make this change. Are you just bored? Do you really love the Chronomat? Or is this more purpose-based? Like, hey, I need a watch I can use in water. The Navitimer is just not cutting it. Or are you just getting tired of the Navitimer? Where are you at here? What's the root of your desire to want to change? And again, there's nothing wrong with wanting to change up the collection. I do it regularly, very regularly. And most people can't fathom the reasons why I move on from awesome watches. But, I like to collect watch experiences. So if you want to move on from the Navitimer, you want to buy the Chronomat, go ahead and do it. But just keep those things that I mentioned in mind. And lastly, my opinion is I like the Navitimer more than the Chronomat personally. So I would say, hey, just buy a dive watch. Scratch that desire to want to add something new, something with water resistance to the collection, and keep that beautiful brand icon, that I really like. I really do like the Navitimer. So Sid, I hope you enjoyed this video. Hopefully it was helpful. You can take my response and throw it to the wind if you want to, but I just wanted to share my thoughts and opinions with you. And guys, if you're watching this, if you're still here in this video, let Sid know what you would do if you were in his shoes. Would you keep that 43mm Navitimer? Or would you move on? Would you buy the Chronomat? Or would you keep the Navitimer, maybe add a dive watch? Would you sell the Navitimer and add something else? Put your suggestions in the comments. Thanks very much for watching today, and see you real soon.